Welcome to the Hockey Writers Prospect Corner, a show with our top prospects writing crew, bringing you the latest news, analysis, scouting reports, mocks, rankings, and much more. From the World Juniors to the NHL Draft floor, from the farm to the NHL, our team covers everything that happens in the world of prospects. So sit back, grab a notebook, and get ready for Prospect Corner.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into another Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. As you can see, I've got a new panelist on the show today. Of course, I'm your host, Matthew Zator, joined in by Peter Baracchini, my fellow prospect expert, and also joined by Logan Horn, who is on the grind line. He writes for the Detroit Red Wings. He also writes prospect. He did some of our profiles in the draft last season. So welcome, Logan. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so, that's what we're going to be doing. We're not going to be talking Detroit Red Wings this time, but we will be talking 2023 draft, which is coming up fast. We're already in prep mode with that and haven't started prospect profiles yet, but there's going to be some features and stuff coming out soon. Rankings have already kind of started coming out. Peter's got his first ones. Andrew does, Devin does as well. So our coverage is already starting. But so NHL Central Scouting released its preliminary players to watch, and that's what we're going to be doing on this episode. Before we do that, I've got to remind you, this show is of course brought to you by the Morning Skate newsletter, daily newsletter delivered to your inbox Monday to Friday, jam-packed with the best hockey stuff on the planet. Daily dose of the latest news, rumors, history, funnies, quizzes, etc. Just a little hockey fun and information brought to you every day of the week from the Hockey Writers. You'll see a link in the show description. Just put in your email and you'll get that every day this time, Monday to Friday. It's not Monday, Wednesday, Friday anymore. It is 5 days a week. So you'll be getting that great newsletter in your inbox if you put your email there. All right, guys, let's get going with this. And, last season not last season, but the previous one, they only had the preliminary players to watch, had them forever until they got the last ranking. So it's great to be getting back to normal. We've got it in the regular schedule. We've got these players to watch, and they do those letter grades. So A, prospects are going to be drafted in the first couple rounds. B is later on, and then C is, later and later on. So, guys, let's start with the A-rated prospects and, feature a few players that we kind of want to talk about. Let's not go with Connor Bedard. Everyone knows who he is. But there is quite a few other guys that are in this draft. It's going to be really, really special in the next couple of years or few years in the NHL. So, Logan, I want to start with Peter. Peter, we'll start with you on this. So who from this list should everyone be watching? Obviously, everyone should be watching everyone. Mm-hmm. But who do you want to feature in this A-rated list?
Yeah, I'm going to stick away from, the top 10 or top 15 because those are easy answers. But I'm going to say Will Smith from the U.S. National Team Development Program. He's literally just shot out of the gate with the U18 team this year with 26 points in 13 games, on pace for 157. Obviously, that's at the USHL level, but then again, that may not work out. But with the production that he's having right now, just about around 2 points per game, that's really impressive. And for him to have that, high octane creativity style play, but also be a very responsible centerman, it really is great to see that kind of play because teams value those smart, durable, very versatile centers that, we've seen previously in the past. We saw the high octane play that Logan Cooley had last year. So the fact that he's able to play that run and gun offensive game, but still be very responsible away from the puck in his own end and just have great awareness, hands, IQ, all that. He's definitely going to be a name to keep an eye on. Where he's going to fall, I think he's probably going to be pushing for that top 20 spot, but he's definitely one to keep an eye on because he's very impressive for the U.S. National Development Team this year.
Yeah, it's funny how that name comes. We got Will Smith, who's an actor, obviously.
Yeah,
we got Will Smith.
Let's clarify that. Yeah,
he played in the NFL. There's a Will Smith in the NFL as well. So I mean, and now we've
versatile athlete.
There you go.
He plays everywhere.
He's a jack of all trades.
Yeah, well, he's been impressive. I mean, he's flirting with Jack Hughes' record with 2 points a game or 2 point. I don't know the exact number, but he's flirting with that number. Yeah, and he's up to that 2 point a game right now. And he's been really impressive so far. Probably bumping himself up this list already. So it's going to be a guy to watch for sure. All right, Logan, give us your guy you want everyone kind of watch from this A list. Who are first round candidates? I said second round. The A's are just first round. So give us a name here.
Sure. I'm going to give a name that some people might not have heard too much about. Someone to keep an eye on. Axel, Sandin, Pellikka.
Yeah.
Probably got all of those names wrong. But I watched him for the first time at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup this last summer. And honestly, he kind of looked like one of Team Sweden's best players. He's been playing in the top junior league, the J20 in Sweden this year. 13 points in 12 games. I should clarify, he's a defenseman. A right-hand shot defenseman, which just ups his value even more in the draft. 13 points in 12 games. He's even got into, I think, a couple SHL games. Most points by any draft-eligible defenseman in that whole league. Great skater, great at breaking the puck out of his own end in transition. Loves to pinch in on offense. Right shot guy. He's 5'11", so kind of on the border of the short category, because apparently 5'11" to 6 feet is a bigger gap than 1 inch in some people's minds. But honestly, his offense has been so impressive. His skating, his mobility and agility is crazy. I've been more impressed with him so far. It's a really short season so far, but more impressed with him than Cam Allen so far. I wouldn't say he's my top defenseman at this point, but I wouldn't be shocked to see him in the first round, maybe start to creep up to the top 20-ish if people are reaching a little on defensemen. But really good 2A, more offensive leaning guy. But the right-hand shot always helps.
Yeah, and in this draft, the defense isn't the big draw in this first round. There's a lot of forwards. It's very forward heavy, but there's a couple guys. You mentioned Cam Allen. He's one. And oh my gosh, I'm going to screw up his name too. Axel, Sandin, Pellikka. I mean, he's another one. Obviously, he's going to be up there. And another Swede. I mean, they just keep pumping them out, don't they? So, I mean, that's such a small country, and they have so many good prospects, so many good players. And got another one coming up for sure. All right, well, let's talk about some, we got all these A. There's not many. I mean, it's not a huge list that they've put in this category. Is there anyone here? We'll start with you, Logan. We'll keep going with you on this one. Is there anyone here that doesn't deserve that A rating, or are all these guys kind of deserving of that first round pick status right now?
Sure. I think most of it seems pretty good to me, but one that stood out was Daniil But. Not a huge fan here. I totally get it. He's 6'5", 200 pounds, and he's 17, and he's scoring tons of goals in the MHL in Russia. He's got a great shot. He really does. But pretty much everything else is a little rough. He feels like a project. Like, the speed is okay, but his acceleration is so bad that it doesn't matter. Like, anyone can catch up to him, basically. For someone that big at that age group, you'd think that advantage would be huge for him, but his physicality is kind of lacking. He loses a lot of puck battles around the boards that you'd think he would dominate. And then the one weird thing that I've seen in just the limited little bit I've seen of him is that his skating strategy, he's a little upright. And with how tall he is compared to his competitors, his center of gravity is really high. And for some reason, with someone that big and strong, he's really easy to knock off the puck, it seems. I would be very nervous picking him. He scores goals when he's stationary, but you need someone that's a little more dynamic than that with a first round pick. Unless he shows he can start putting those pieces together this year, I would probably wait on him a little bit.
Well, like you said, size, and that's what as much as we say size doesn't matter, as much it does. I mean, scouts still look at it. It's 6'5", you're looking at this guy like, oh my gosh. if we can fix the skating, and I mean, that's what they're thinking. We should fix the skating. He's going to be a heck of a player. So we'll see if he kind of changes, the rating as time goes on here. But yeah, for sure. For sure. I do agree. That's the thing. Skating is a big thing. And in the NHL these days, you need to be able to skate. You're going to get left behind quite often if you can't fix that. All right, Peter, do you have someone on this A list that you don't think should be an A-rated prospect at this point?
Yeah, going through the list, I not necessarily had my doubts about Carson Bjarnason, but he's showing early on why he deserves to be in that category or echelon of like one of the top goaltenders in this draft. I think it's still going to be Michael Hrabal, but he's definitely challenging him for that spot. So to see him there was kind of a surprise, but not really based on his recent play. But I do agree with Logan that Daniel Boot is the main polarizing player of this ranking and probably going to be for the whole entire draft too, because you mentioned size does matter, but in the essence and what Logan alluded to, if you can't utilize your size properly, and especially with him at 6'4" and he gets knocked off the puck easily, that does raise some concerns. And even so, like even I saw on Twitter, Hattie, we've had him on quite a bit on the show as well. He's noticing that his IQ and decision making just isn't quite all there. So you can be in the right spot to score goals, but if you're not putting yourself, or not doing a whole lot more outside of that, you just seem kind of like a one-trick pony. And the fact that he's just very one-dimensional right now, he could very well develop all those aspects, the skating, the more awareness and IQ and hockey sense throughout the whole entire season. But early on right now, I'm not seeing that. And yeah, everyone is going to say, oh, but he's got, 11 goals and 16 points in the MHL. Yeah, that's great. One assist in the MHL. Yeah, no, that is correct. But it was another one assist with another team in the AHL because he's on 2. But if that's all he's going to be known for and he doesn't excel in other aspects and just one in goal scoring, that to me doesn't seem like much that you would want to take as a first rounder. You maybe late first if you're really willing to make that risk, but right now I would not take him as a first rounder.
Yeah, and we'll see if that kind of changes as scouts keep viewing him, because like you said, it's very early. As the season goes on, he may develop some of that, and we'll see how it all goes. But once these first rankings are out, we'll see where he actually falls in numbers rather than just a letter grade. All right, well, let's move on to our B list, and this one's a little bigger because this is a second and third round candidates. So it's a little bit of a bigger pool to look at. So we'll start with you, Logan, on this. Who do you want to kind of highlight from this B list, which is obviously a bigger list?
Sure. My pick would be Noah Dower Nilsson, another 3-name person, brother of Liam Dower Nilsson, who's a Red Wings prospect. He's a 6-foot-tall center, Noah, and he's just been dominating the J20 in Sweden, the top junior league there. He's also, so he started the year, he played 3 games in the U18 division, and he scored 10 points. So they were like, maybe he's a little too good for this. Went up to the U20 and has 18 goals and 31 points in 16 games. He's just been, that's 1.94 points per game, which is slightly better than Liam Ogren had last year by the end of the season. So that's roughly the pace for now, if you want to know that. Tons of skill, great hockey IQ, passing through lanes and traffic. Most complaints I see are about his skating. Which I think isn't as bad as some people think, partly because one of his line mates is one of the better skaters in junior hockey I've seen, even though he got passed in the draft last year. He's just blazing speed. So he makes him look slow by comparison. He's not a great skater. That typically is the mechanical side that can be developed. It's not a guarantee though, but I love the skill. The production has shown up, but I'm big fan of the skill, the stick handling through traffic. Some of it's just crazy. So I would not be surprised to see him sneak into the first round soon. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and that's, again, you mentioned the skating, and we'll see if skating. One thing I always think about skating is it can be improved, and that's one thing you can teach. I mean, obviously speed is something you can't really, but you can refine skating. So we'll see how that kind of goes throughout his development. All right, Peter, what do you got from this B list that everyone should be kind of looking at?
I was going to say one player, but I know you have one in mind, Matt, about a certain USHL player right now. So I'm going to leave him for you, but I'm going to take Carson Rehkopf from the Kitchener Rangers, someone that I have as sort of a late first for me, and he's in my first round. But I took note of him at that Hlinka Gretzky Cup where he had 5 points in 5 games. And to me, he looked outstanding in a bottom six role. I mean, I'm trying to find a really good comparison, but I'm pretty sure I heard on that broadcast, I think Craig Button compared him to that of Mike Richards with the skill that he has, but also the smart two-way play, the aggressive and work ethic, the aggressive nature and work ethic that he does possess. It does kind of scream that, but at the same time, you know, Carson Rehkopf is Carson Rehkopf. He's his own player, but you do see the similarities in terms of their play and the energy that Rehkopf brings. And after that tournament, I wanted to see more of him in the OHL. And every single game that I watched, he's been noticeable in every single right aspect of the game. And even right now, playing with Francesco Pinelli and Philip Mejar as that top line. Obviously, points are going to come. He's just under a point per game right now with 9 and 10, but I love his energy, his work ethic, his ability to go into the corners and just absolutely battle for pucks. And also he's got a booming shot, you know, great accuracy, heck of a one-timer. He's definitely one that should be kept an eye on because he could definitely be, you know, obviously they have him ranked as a second right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point maybe that changes up. And if he doesn't, great. But if not, then the team's going to get a really, really in-your-face, hardworking centerman in that second round.
Yeah, and that you said hardworking there. I'm already going to be elevated to elevate to him for sure. I love those types of players. I mean, not saying that. I mean, some players aren't hardworking. There are ones that aren't, but ones like guys like that always I kind of gravitate. That's the word, gravitate to. Mm-hmm. So he definitely will be on my radar for sure. Mine is William Whitelaw, and you probably knew that, Peter.
Yeah, that's why I left him for you. I was going to say that, but I'm like, I'll leave it for Matt.
You know, I've talked about him on previous shows before too. So if you want to get a bit more about him, you can go back to that. But again, one of those more creative players. You know, USHL is playing in there right now. Honestly, I haven't dove too much into the 2023 draft. I've been doing a whole bunch of other stuff in the meantime. So I'm not as well educated on a lot of these guys yet, but I already was kind of looking at Whitelaw early on. So I'll be giving a bit more on him because he is one of my guys I'll be writing for the prospect profiles. So I'll be diving into his game a lot more in the coming months, but definitely keep his name in mind. He's got a great name already. So just keeping in mind because it's a unique name too. So, but he's a really skilled player for sure. He may even end up kind of creeping into that first round conversation too. But we'll just have to see all that when it gets there. All right. Well, let's ask this question. We'll flip it though. And Peter, let's ask you this. Any of these guys should have A ratings because there's a few that I'm going to mention one guy that I think is really underrated. Why is he in this B category? But do you have someone that shouldn't be here, should be in the A for sure?
Yeah, this is an easy one. And I mentioned him before, Andrew Cristall. Get ready to hear his name a lot this season because he's already top 4. He's in top 5 in scoring in the WHL, 18 points in 11 games, 47 shots on goal, averaging 1.64 points per game. You're seeing he has all the. I'm going to go back and I'm saying this is going to be like that Logan Stankoven back in 2021, where he is a bit undersized, a bit smaller, but the energy, the way that he uses his size to his advantage for what he is right now, 5'10", 165. He does protect the puck extremely well. He's got great offensive awareness, great playmaking abilities, a heck of a shot. The fact that, you know, we talk about size and everywhere, and Daniel Boo being 6'4" in the first round talk, you know, every single time that I've seen Andrew Cristall this season, he's always on the ice, making an impact in all three zones. And the fact that he has a B is a little bit surprising to me, because he's one of many players that shouldn't be in this category, and he should be up there as an A. So I'm kind of hoping that, like Rehkopf, it turns into an A, because he's just absolutely dominating early on in the WHL this season.
Yeah, well, that was the guy I was going to mention. I was actually really surprised to see him in the B, because I mean, he's 4 points back of Bedard. I mean, for points, and that's with 2 fewer games played too. So I mean, points aren't the be all end all, but flirting with around the guy that's supposed to be first overall is pretty good. So, I mean, we'll have to see if that changes. I think it will. I think, if he keeps the way he's dominating, I think scouts are going to see that and push him into that first round category. But we had Stankoven in the first round all year. I'm pretty sure I didn't have him in the second round at any point, and that's where he got drafted. So we'll see how it all kind of goes. And like I say, size seems to matter. If you're undersized, you get dropped down, unfortunately. All right, Logan, let's get a guy that should be an A from this group, that shouldn't see that B beside their name.
My pick will be Caden Price, defenseman for the Kelowna Rockets in the WHL. I remember watching him at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, and just seeing some of these passes he was making, I was like, this guy's got to be like one of the top prospects for this upcoming draft, right? And then I look, and no one was like, people were talking about him because he's playing for Team Canada. That's not nothing. But I felt like there wasn't as much excitement as I was feeling. And that seems to still be going on with, the Central Scouting putting in the second round roughly. I like him a lot. I don't know. I trust him. I would pick him in the first round at this point, probably by the end of it, at least. Like we've said, there's not a lot of great defense prospects, maybe Gulyayev, Allen. So people reach on defensemen. So on that alone, I feel like he'll probably go in the first round. And I know they're going more on talent than like a mock draft for Central Scouting, but I still think his passing, his offensive IQ is up there. I think he probably deserves an A at this point.
Well, that's what you need in the NHL right now, is that mobile defenseman. Everyone's looking for them. And that's what especially in a draft that's not going to have a lot of them, and teams need defense. I mean, like you said, they probably will reach. And in a draft that has so many forwards, having a second round pick is going to be, like I say, second round picks are going to be so valuable this year, because someone could reach and grab a defenseman in the first round, and then all of a sudden you got more talent pulling into the second. So, I mean, to have multiple second round picks would even be better. So we'll see how many teams kind of move them or hesitate. So I don't think there's been one moved yet. If I want to remember, I don't know if any team has moved a 2023 second rounder. I know a first rounder has been moved, but it's going to be interesting around the trade deadline how many of these 2023 draft picks are going to be included in deals, or they're just going to be further down the line, which we've seen already. These 2025 ones going. I think there's been some 2025 first rounders already been traded. So this 2023 is really valuable to have picks in. All right, well, let's move to the C group, which is massive. This list is really long because it is the 4th, 5th, 6th round candidates. And these are the later round picks. And I mean, there may not be a lot of guys we've seen yet that we kind of want to talk about, but Logan, do you have anyone that in this C group that you want people to kind of look at coming up?
Yeah, the name I've got for you guys is Yegor Smirnov. There's a player with the same name that was drafted a couple years ago. I promise these are different people. He's playing in the MHL in Russia, 15 points in 16 games. He's a little bit undersized, and being undersized and playing in the MHL is a pretty good it's a pretty good recipe for going undrafted. As we've seen in the last couple of years. But he's playing on one of the smaller teams in the MHL, not like Yaroslavl or SKA or any of these big budget teams. He's playing on like his hometown team. It's a little smaller. 5th most points of all U18 players in that league right now. I think he's playing pretty well. I hope he gets a look from Team Russia for any type of international things that anyone will let them play in. Because I'd love to see him get a little bit more of that hype. But yeah, he's my pick. He's my hopeful person that I'm just gonna like hold on to all year and feel really smart if he gets picked like before the 6th round.
All right. Well, we'll be looking for the prospect profile on that guy then from you then.
That's right.
All right. Peter, you have someone from this C group that you want everyone to kind of keep an eye on as the season goes on.
Yeah, keep an eye on Alex Ciernik from Sodertalia from the J20. I hope I pronounced that correctly because it's been a while since I mentioned that. But sorry if I didn't. But kind of following the current wave of, high-end Slovak players. We saw Slavkovsky, Nemec, Mazur last year. We see Dalibor Dvorsky, and I think Ciernik could be that next one to be taken. I think maybe he's just a little bit low as a C, but given his overall play with his speed, mobility, his high-end skill, and just his work ethic, it kind of reminds me that of Mazur, and we saw how he went and how much of an impact he had. So if he's able to obviously Mazur had more experience because he was playing against men, but the way that Ciernik is playing early on the season with 10 points in 8 games, it's a good indicator that maybe that's still possibly going to be a factor for him going forward. Still being an offensive driver, being a factor and, on the rush in the offensive zone on the cycle game. So with his speed and mobility, I think that's going to captivate or capture a lot of teams' eye heading into this draft season, because I think he's going to be very underrated.
Yeah, we'll see that. And the thing is about this draft, and we'll see how many of these, again, such a deep draft. I mean, beyond, you can have 3rd round or 4th rounders that are going to make the NHL in the future. We'll see. But that's what we're going to love this draft so much. And keep an eye on a lot. I mean, these are just 2 names. And we'll be mentioning more as the season, as our coverage goes on, because there's just so many guys we want to mention, and too bad we couldn't write profiles for all of them. But you're going to see quite a few that we're trying to get out to you guys. But keep an eye on a lot of these later picks. I think we're going to see a lot more of them make the NHL from this draft than normal. So one thing, NHL teams, keep your draft picks from this draft, because I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised with a lot of the guys you're going to draft in this one, I think. So we will have to see how that all plays out. We won't see that for like 5, 6, 7 years maybe, but hey, it's going to be fun to look back on how many of these guys make it to the NHL. All right, let's do a bonus question. And we don't talk about goaltenders a lot on this show. And I know, Peter, you mentioned one guy kind of briefly in that in our first section, but we'll start with you. Do you have any goaltenders that people should be looking at? I know there are guys that just love their goalies. So let's cater to them in this segment. Who do you have?
Obviously the main standout for goaltenders is going to be Michael Hrabal. I mean, he's off to a torrid start right now. I did mention Bjarnason, but I'm going to mention Scott Ratzlaff from the Seattle Thunderbirds. And you know what? That's a really good team this year that they have. And the fact that he's already played in 4 games, 4-0, .910 save percentage, 2.2 goals against average. Looked great in the Hlinka Gretzky Cup as the starter, 4-0 record, .976 save percentage. But then again, small sample, but now we're starting to see that sample a little bit better right now. And the fact that he's one of the go-to goaltenders on a very deep team looking to make another deep playoff run, I think he's going to have a very standout season this year. He's got great mobility, can track the puck very well. Obviously, there are times where his rebound control is good, but then again, as a prospect, rebound control is always going to be one main aspect that goaltending prospects want to improve on, because that's going to be a big factor later on. But his mobility and his puck tracking is just absolutely phenomenal right now. So you kind of got like a 3-headed monster right now to draft if you're looking for a goaltender right now, aka Toronto Maple Leafs, if you want to use that pick on one of those 3 goaltenders to build up your depth. But all 3 are going to be very, very high picks, either a late first, early seconds, because I can't see them, or even someone like Scott Ratzlaff dropping that low as well. I think he's going to be very, very good.
Well, it's going to be fun this time because we actually have some goaltenders that could go in the first round. This past draft was no one really. I mean, until maybe the late second, early third, and even that was a bit,
of a stretch,
right?
Yeah.
That would happen. But this time we're gonna have probably gonna have at least one first round goaltender go in there. So yeah, definitely gonna be a fun time for goalies. Logan, do you have someone that you want to mention in the goaltending conversation?
Sure. Yeah. I'll go a little more in depth into Michael Hrabal. He's from Czechia, played in the top Czech junior league there last season, had an 18-3-0 record with a .936 save percentage.
That's
just
good.
a little too good for the league,
Yeah.
I think. He's in North America now. He's playing for the Omaha Lancers in the USHL. It's early goings, but the returns are looking pretty good. He's 3-0-3, 941 save percentage. He's 6'6", so he's got that like modern day goalie size, which is crazy that goalies are that tall nowadays. It's like a foot taller than the average like 50 years ago. But he's killing it. Honestly, he looks great. He played at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup for Czechia, looked really good there. And he's carried that on this year, looking like the top goalie prospect. I didn't know that he was considered to be in the first round until I saw the as you guys know in the chat there. I didn't realize until the Central Scouting came out that people were seeing him in the first round, but I kind of get it. He's been doing great. He's committed to University of Massachusetts for the 25-26 season. So unless he leaves the USHL a little early or decommits or something, he's got his progression lined up. A few seasons in the USHL, few in college, and then AHL, NHL type deal. I'm excited to see how he does this year. He's just been dominant so far, so it'd be fun if he keeps that up because I love goalies. So
yeah, all I gotta say, we gotta be talking more about goaltenders on this show because they deserve some talk too, because they're obviously the most important position to have. I mean, if you don't have a good goaltender, you're probably not going to win many games. So, but there's only one or two positions in the NHL. So that's all you get: starter and a backup, and some stay for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to break in sometimes. So definitely keep an eye on those names as we move forward in our draft coverage as well. All right, before we move on to our quick fire, which I'm hosting, and Logan, you're going to be part of this. We've done this over the last month or so. We keep taking turns crafting the quick fire questions and then putting ourselves under the spotlight as we go. So before we get to that, this show is brought to you by Sports Side Hustle, a new digital course that teaches passionate sports fans how to make a lucrative side income off their love of the game. Get off the sidelines into the game with a course that will teach you more than 14 different and easy to start methods any sports fan can use to make a steady part-time or full-time income. All you need is the internet, computer, passion for sports, and a few hours a week. Go to sportssidehustle.com and to get your absolutely free startup guide that'll explain the 4 keys to unlocking this income opportunity. That's sportssidehustle.com. Get started today. All right, well, let's get to our quick fire round here, and 5 questions. And this is pretty much, there's only one question that's not about the 2023 draft. So I thought I'd keep it themed to what we're doing on this episode. So if my computer would just, there we go. All right, Peter, I'll start with you on this one.
Oh boy.
Will Smith, and it's great that you mentioned him because first question is about him. So he extended his season-long point streak to 14 games, 28 points, and he has in that streak. Do you think he'll eventually surpass Jack Hughes' all-time point-per-game mark of 2.23? He's got the 2-point-a-game mark right now. By the end of the season, do you think he surpasses that 2.23?
That's a tough one. Records were meant to be broken. And you know what? It just seems like yesterday that Jack Hughes is already making or putting his name into that record book right now. But the fact that he's just being very consistent, I think he does. I hate to say that he is going to break it because you don't know what's going to happen. I wish I had a crystal ball, but he is looking like it. I think maybe he does. If he does, it's just going to be very slightly, but who knows? He's just very dynamic right now. So I think he will end up breaking it, or if at the very least tying Jack Hughes' record.
Yeah, it does seem like it's just yesterday that Jack Hughes was in the league, but he's in the NHL now, a couple seasons in already. So time flies. All right, Logan, what do you think? Do you think he breaks that Jack Hughes' record at 2.23?
I don't think so. My main reason is his teammates. I think that 2019 USDP like whole squad was just insane.
Yeah.
And you look at them, you look back on that draft and you see all the Americans from the training program there. And it's just crazy. All these talented players, and like having Cole Caulfield, and like, just imagine that first power play unit that Jack Hughes could just feed off of.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't really feel like Will Smith has that kind of talent around him. There's some really good players there, but I think the supporting cast isn't as strong as Hughes is. So I think it would take better play than Hughes to get to the same spot. But I'm going to say he's not getting there. He might get close. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. We'll see. I think he'll get close. I don't think he'll hit it. I mean, it is pretty tough. I mean, to go 2 points a game is insane.
Yeah.
So I mean, 2.23 is a little bit more than that. So we'll see. It's going to be fun to track that as the season goes on for him, for sure. All right, question 2. I'm gonna start with you, Logan, on this. This is about Adam Fantilli. So he's got 6 goals, 16 points, and 7 NCAA games right now, which is insane.
Wow.
Is he on the generational player pedestal as Connor Bedard? Would he be classified as a generational player at this point?
Oh boy. I don't know. There's a lot of debate around these types of things. Personally, I'm going to go with no, but that's just because the definition I work with for generational is very, very strict. Like you've got McDavid, Matthews, I would put on there, and then it cuts all the way back to like Ovi and Crosby. Like it's a tight group in my mind. Generational, you can have elite players that are franchise players. I think Fantilli has a real good shot to be in that tier. I don't think he's a generational talent. Really, really good. Could be one of the best in the NHL. Not generational.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think he's in that. Like, I do agree. I think he's in that realm as well. But you can't deny what he's been doing. NCAA is a tough league. I mean, this is not, you're playing against older guys and you're putting up 16 points in 7 games. Yes, granted, he's on a really good Michigan team, but we'll see if he can keep it going. But I don't think generational is another. Yeah, it's a really big. Everyone seems to think we have a generational player every draft, but it's not that case. Right, Peter, what do you think? Is he in that generational player status or kind of a tier below?
Kind of the tier below, where he's going to be a perennial all-star type player, superstar kind of centerman in the NHL. There's no doubt about that. And he is producing like a generational talent in the NCAA. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal what he's able to do. And again, I keep going back to his time in the GTHL. When he was playing there, I knew he was going to be a very talented player in the league, and we're seeing it right now. I do think that it's going to be a very good debate between Bedard and Fantilli, kind of like the McDavid-Eichel battle back then. But I think he's just underneath that. I think he's going to be an all-star and very critical piece for any franchise, though.
Yeah, and like I say, I agree with that. I do see it as an Eichel McDavid type of thing, and I think Fantilli's going to be better than Eichel, but Eichel's a very good player as well.
Yeah,
starting to find his groove back, which is very good.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you guys think maybe Bedard Fantilli could be almost comparable to like Crosby Malkin? Like not exact play styles, but sizes and like the tiers of the players.
Tier wise, yes, and it would be interesting if they were on the same team, because that would just be absolutely not fair for any opponent.
Not even close.
No way. That's not going to happen, obviously, unless someone does a crazy thing against the person. picks, which won't happen in this draft, that's for sure. All right, Peter, start with you on this. And is your favorite player Andrew Cristall? All right, he's made. We mentioned him being in that B category right now, at least according to NHL Central Scouting. Could he make his way into the conversation of a top 15 prospect at the end of it all here?
Where I have him and where Central Scouting have him are two different spectrums, because I do think he is a top 20 or in that 15 to 20 range. Can he knock on that 15 door and surpass some of the other names that are higher than him right now? Absolutely. If his play continues, why not? Then again, we go back to the whole Logan Stankoven thing. His size is going to be a factor, and no matter how dynamic or how many points he can put up 100 points and still be in that 25 to like going into that second round range, which is going to be a big mistake because Dallas is making everybody pay for that, and there's a team that would make somebody else pay for that as well. So maybe not inside the top 15. It's possible, but I think as a safe bet, 15 to 20 for sure.
Yeah, I see him there. I think he's going to be flirting with that top 15. But I said Stankoven was going to be in the top 20, and that didn't happen. So,
but we were right about his play, though.
Yes, we were, and that's where he should have been drafted. Mm-hmm. So we weren't technically wrong. All right, Logan, what do you think? Could Cristall make his way into that top 15 category?
I think it'll be, as you've been saying, similar to Stankoven in that. On talent, I think he should be there. On draft day, I don't think he will be, because general managers they care a lot about certainty, and any size difference makes them very uncertain. So if the player has this much skill, and then there's a player with this much skill, but the second one is a little taller, they'll probably take the one that they feel safer about because their job's on the line if they make the wrong pick. And he can't play in the NHL and he gets knocked around and whatever.
Yeah.
Don't think that's going to happen, but they're scared. They're hesitant. They want their jobs to stay. I think on talent though, he'll be there. His best shot is if he can stay in the same realm as Bedard in points. What are you doing leaving him past like the top 15? That would be insane.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he could stay in the 20 range, but I'd be surprised if he makes it that high. I would be pleasantly surprised though.
Yeah. Well,
one other quick note, both are 5'10", and if Connor Bedard is the number one pick right now, you can afford to take a swing on Andrew Cristall in that 15.
Yeah.
Fair.
That's right. We'll see what happens. That's gonna be another interesting storyline to watch of the many we'll be following throughout this 2023 draft. Okay, I started with Peter last time. So Logan, this one is talking about the top 5. So if you were in the second overall pick, Bedard's taken, obviously. He's been taken already. If you had to choose between Fantilli, and this is a guy Matvei Michkov. I mean, come on. Everyone's saying that he should have been second overall, but now he's kind of dropping off. So Adam Fantilli, Matvei Michkov, or Leo Carlsson, who would you pick as a second overall pick?
Oh man. It depends so much on where the team is at. I would go Matvei Michkov. That's my pick. That's my guy for second overall. I've been realizing though that if you're a team who's in a little bit of trouble, you think you should be better than you were, or maybe you got lucky and you won the lottery, and you want help soon, Carlsson or Fantilli would make sense. Probably Fantilli second. But I feel like because people are worried about Michkov's 3 extra years in the KHL, which I understand because I think Corey Pronman of The Athletic said that if you're going to draft Michkov second overall, you want to make sure that your contract runs until he starts playing games. Because that's going to be important for some general managers. But if you're on a team that's trying to be bad, Chicago, Arizona, maybe the Ducks, I don't know. Michkov might be perfect because you don't have to get better. And so you get another good pick the next year, but you have a really good player sitting overseas who's going to come over in a few years and make a huge impact when he comes over. He's had 3 years of development post-draft. I don't know. It's kind of a tough choice. I really think it could just depend on what team gets second overall, but I'd take Michkov at this point.
He's ripping it up over there too right now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Everyone thought he was for sure second overall. It's not that case anymore. So we'll see what happens. Peter, what do you think? I know you love Leo Carlsson. Who do you have as a second overall if you were sitting in that chair, or not sitting in the chair, but coming up to the podium as a second overall pick?
Yeah, as much as I love Leo Carlsson, I'd probably still have him at 3 in 3 to 5, maybe not top 2, but then again, hey, he's playing lights out great hockey right now. I'm probably going on Adam Fantilli alone because of the fact that 3 years, maybe a little bit. You want to try and get him over as soon as possible, but then again, Michkov is going to be 20 years old or around 2021 by the time he comes on over. So he's still going to be fairly young, but you know what? If you could get Adam Fantilli 1 year after 2 seasons of college right away, because this is good. His could be his rookie year. He could even make it out of training camp next season. Who knows? He's got a very good chance. So if you could get 1 year of college from Adam Fantilli or so, as opposed to 3 years waiting on Matvei Michkov, I'd rather take the 1 year wait than 3 with Adam Fantilli. And he's been just all over the ice right now. Not to say that Michkov hasn't, but in terms of timing, I'd probably go Fantilli.
Yeah. Oh, like I say, this is going to be fun to see who's going to go second overall, because obviously Bedard's going first. This is not a Shane Wright thing. Everyone's going to be saying we were on Shane Wright train all last season and he didn't go first overall. I think this is a little different with Connor Bedard. I think Bedard's going first. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. But I would go Fantilli in that. Michkov could end up being Ovechkin. You don't know. He may end up being that type of a goal scorer, and you're going to be kicking yourself if you didn't go for him. But Fantilli's going to be a heck of a player as well. So I don't know. I don't think you're going to go wrong in any of the if you have a top 10 pick in this draft, I don't think you're going wrong with anyone you really pick. I think you're going to get a really good player. But it's going to be fun to kind of track that in the next few seasons to see how any of these guys kind of go in the NHL. It's going to be exciting to watch. That's for sure. All right. Final question. And this is away from the 2023 draft. This is on the current NHL season. So, Logan, which rookie has been the biggest surprise for you in the NHL so far? There's been quite a few performances that kind of unexpected. Who has impressed you the most or surprised you the most so far?
Well, on the grind line, I've roasted you enough, Matt, for the Canucks, but I've seen enough of them play actually that I'm going to pick a rookie from there. Nils Åman.
Yeah.
They just picked him up, I think, as a Euro free agent that didn't get signed. And first year North America makes the NHL team. That was a surprise in itself. You could say things about center depth, but still, it's impressive. But for such a young player, first year in the NHL, his defensive play as a center has been really impressive to me. I think he has a couple points. He scored a goal a few nights back. That's not really what he's there for anyway, but he's been impressive. I don't think he's the kind of guy, he's not flashy, he's not going to get Calder votes, but usually defense is one of the hardest things for forwards, especially, or defensemen too. That's the toughest thing for rookies, and he's been pretty good right out of the gate, so I'll go with Nils Åman.
Yes, and I've been really impressed by him too. And he basically forced the trade of Jason Dickinson. I know they wanted to get rid of his salary and all that, but him being able to, center that fourth line, kill penalties, and he's got some pretty good size too. I've been really impressed with his play too. I think, and I'm glad I know how to pronounce his name now. I always said Nils Åman or Aman or something. And it's Oman. So he's been really good for sure. He was kind of Colorado Avalanche basically gave up on him, didn't sign him, and drafted as a 6th round pick, I believe, or a 5th round pick. And and there's Alvin picking up a guy that no one seemed to want, and he's been doing pretty well. All right, Peter, who do you have as a big surprise in the rookie sphere? Not, like I say, it doesn't have to be Calder, but just a rookie that surprised you so far.
Yeah, I hate to do this, but I'm going Arbor Jackeye. His story is just fascinating. You know, all the time in the juniors, goes undrafted, Montreal signs him, and all of a sudden right now he's just doing everything right for them. I mean, just looking very composed. Obviously, he's got great strength with his physicality and his size, but finding the score sheet as well. Very underrated offensive game right now, where he has 3 points in 8 games, 11th overall in scoring. Beating out, teammate Caden Gooley, Jake Sanderson, Elmer Soderblom, who's, I know Devin's pretty high on him, but at the same time, he's found his footing in the NHL. We thought that, rookies are always going to take some time, but no, he's looking pretty good right now. So the fact that he's gaining or playing meaningful minutes, 15 per game, which is really great for a rookie right now. They needed someone to step up and try and be a physical force for them on the back end, because they had a lot of names and a lot of uncertainty, and Jackeye is, living up to that name. Let's just hope that the consistency continues, because he's looking very great right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny how we picked two guys that names, when you look at their names, I have no idea how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
His is worse. I didn't know. I have no idea. Just looking at it. How do you say his name?
we can thank Hattie for that.
There you go. Yeah, I love his Wi-Fi, and it's great. Yeah. It's like a Wi-Fi password. It definitely is. And they're having some fun with that on social media. Every time he scores, Wi-Fi is strong. I believe that was the one they used recently. So he's been really impressive. Undrafted as well, which pretty great to have a guy like that. I love the stories of undrafted players succeeding. So love that for sure. All right. That's our quick fire for this week. Hopefully it wasn't too tough for you guys to kind of get going. It was kind of tough for me to create these questions to try to go. It gets tougher every week. So it'll be Devin's turn next week to kind of get through and trying to figure out some quick fire questions for us. Okay, well, let's get to our prospects of the week, and this is Logan. You'll be able to join in with our tradition that we usually do every week. So we'll start with you. Who do you want to feature? And it can be any prospect. Doesn't have to be someone that's performing really well in the last week. It's just we like to just feature prospects that everyone should be watching. NHL, any league, it doesn't matter.
Sure. So I'm going to give an honorable mention, and I'll explain why after. My honorable mention is Fabian Lysell. Playing for the Providence Bruins in the AHL. He's only played 4 games so far. He has 7 points. And he's just so fun to watch. His skating is incredible. I think he's going to be, some people were surprised to see him fall. I think 2021, somewhere in that range. He was drafted in 2021. I think people will think that for a few years after he makes the NHL, because his skating is going to be top of the league in the NHL. That's pretty wild. So that's my honorable mention. My pick, though, I gave an honorable mention because I'm going to be a homer hockey writer right here and go with Carter Mazur, Red Wings prospect. If the Red Wings move on from Tyler Bertuzzi or can't keep him around or something like that, they have a built-in replacement with Mazur here. He has 8 goals and 10 points in 7 games for the University of Denver, another stacked team, but actually they lost a few of their top scorers after last season, and he's been given a lot more responsibility. 8 goals in 7 games. He had a hat trick on Friday night. He's just scrappy. If you watched him at the World Juniors for Team USA, he was excellent, like all energy, all effort, just grinding in front of the net, shoving people, dumping pucks in the net. Like, he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think he probably is going to sign to ZLC. Well, Denver might go to might win another championship. Who knows? So maybe it'll take a while, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him at least in the AHL soon, probably on the NHL team. But that's my pick, prospect of the week.
There you go. Yeah, and Mazur's been really good. And don't worry about being a homer. We do that all the time.
Oh,
yeah. All right, Peter, who do you have as a prospect of the week?
Yeah, I mentioned a few weeks ago Malcolm Spence, and I'm going to pick his GTHL teammate that was the first overall pick and granted exceptional status for this year, Michael Misa. Obviously, when you look at players granted exceptional status, you expect them to perform and expect them to produce. And, Misa's doing that right now. 15 points in 11 games, leading all rookies in goals, and has a 1.36 point per game average. Just absolutely phenomenal what he's able to do right now. He's got great playmaking abilities, but his goal scoring in hands is just absolutely phenomenal. And in his last 4 games, minus tonight because they are playing the game, but it's just starting right now. So in his last 4 games, he's got 6 goals. And in all the games that he's played, he's only gone pointless twice. So obviously, really great production for, a really young player and rookie in the OHL right now for the Saginaw Spirit, who, I've even mentioned Pavel Michkov to start the season as well. So now this is my second Saginaw Spirit right now that I'm mentioning, because Misa's looking very, very sharp early on right now.
Yeah, that's a good pick as well. And there's a lot of prospects that are doing really well to start the season. So it's fun to kind of see all these guys producing so early. We'll see if it can be sustainable, because some guys start off well and then kind of go into those, everyone goes into those slumps.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless you're, the big guys, which don't seem to ever.
Again, 2025 eligible. So
yeah, that's even more insane.
That's even more impressive right now. How this is now the second 2025 eligible that I'm picking.
Wow.
Well, we're looking forward to the 2023, maybe having to looking forward to the 2025 as well.
Yeah.
So, good drafts coming up. All right. Well, I'm going to a guy that has been drafted, and this second round pick of the Arizona Coyotes, playing for Arizona State University, Josh Doan, dropped the puck with his dad yesterday at Mullet Arena, which I love that name. And I love their promo that they did, giving out the mullet hats. And we saw Pat rocking that on Twitter. Yeah. So he had I'm sure he had fun covering that game. So, but yeah, Josh Doan, captain of the Arizona State University, I forget what their actual name is. Sun Devils. That's right. The Sun Devils. And he's got 2 goals, 6 points in 8 games so far. And like I say, he's the captain there. Very hardworking player. If you want to know more about him, read, there was a feature article that Pat did last season with interviewing him, and it was a great article. So look that up if you want to kind of get more on him. And of course, follow his coverage, because he'll be covering him for sure, because he works for the Arizona Coyotes now. So, but yeah, Josh Doan's my prospect of the week. Very impressive so far, and of course, was featured yesterday because he was on the ice doing some ceremonial duties. So it's fun to have an NHL team playing in your arena. So we'll see how long that lasts. But by all accounts, it seemed like it was a very fun atmosphere. Everyone was kind of worried of how that would be, but seems to be pretty good atmosphere for the fans. And if they can fill it every night, it's going to be great. So it's a lot better than a half full Glendale arena. That's for sure. All right. Well, thanks, Logan, for joining the show, joining Prospect Corner for the week. And, if you're up for it, you could join every week. We're open to it. We love to have extra people on the show all the time. So, but thanks for coming on this week, and hope to see more of you in the future.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Love to be back.
Well, yeah, we're always welcoming to anyone that's come on the show, because it's great to talk prospect. Doesn't matter who we talk with, and I also have some different voices on the show as well. And Devin was really busy this weekend, so thanks for stepping in. So we're not just a duo, and it's a lot funner to have more than just 2 people on the show.
Sure.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us for another Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. We'll be keeping going. This is our first main draft show we've done. I mean, we've kind of mentioned it here or there, but this is our first one that we've kind of basically focused on the 2023 draft. So more to come as we keep going with the coverage. So keep following us at the Hockey Writers. Keep following Peter's coverage on Twitter. He does a great job by kind of tweeting out things that should know about some of these prospects. And I know, Peter, your first set of top 64, I believe, is coming soon.
Maybe closer to or after the World Juniors, but top 64 is already in the works, way ahead of it. But yeah.
All right. Well, that's when mine will probably be coming out. Top 64 is going to probably after the World Juniors as well. So keep an eye out for all of our, again, that's coming up soon. We're going to be starting our World Juniors coverage in no time. our preview shows and all that. So that's going to be fun. So Logan, will definitely have you back on for those previews, because I know you covered the World Juniors last year as well in this past one. So love to have you back for that. And make sure you're following Morning Skate newsletter. I'm signing up for that. Comes to you every morning right on the button. 8 a.m. You're getting it in your inbox. Get your coffee and take a look at that. Lots of news going on in the NHL every day. Lots of games going on. Lots of stories. So take a look at that. And from Matthew Zator, Peter Baracchini, and of course our guest Logan Horn. This has been Prospect Corner.